Hey,
Hi,
it's Tash and Carly,
and you're listening to Motherhood,
not as we planned.
So get comfy, grab a cup of tea,
Or a glass of wine, and let's start talking about all the things too many of us avoid discussing.
Hi guys, and welcome to this week's episode of Not As We Planned. You might be like, what? They're not together. This is the first time I've recorded not together. Just a background situation. I mean, it's really not very exciting, but Tash can't drive her car very far, so she can't come to me. And then Milo got sent home from nursery yesterday with diarrhea, which wasn't diarrhea. He's just teething, FYI. But he's not allowed in for 48 hours. Yay.
Yay, buzzing. No childcare. But guys,
No
it's not going
childcare.
to be like our new 2024 setup. This is just so we can catch up with everyone.
Yeah, just carrying on being dealt the cards for being given this year, because got to love 2023. And I think that probably brings us nicely what this week is. So
I think the first thing we want to say is Happy New Year to everyone, because this is going to be live. New Year. Yeah, this is the first episode of 2024, and feeling really positive about this year. I feel like a lot of people I've spoken to in general in life, my friends, and I don't think 2023 was a very good year for many people.
no, I agree. I don't know about anyone else, but I feel like when you get to December and you've had a bad year, you're kind of just holding out for a new year. There's something about a new year, a fresh start, a chance to start like on number one. And I feel like, I know it's really cliche when people are like, new year, new me. But honestly, like, I feel like that going into 2024, like there's so much negativity, people, other things that I want to leave in 2023. And it's really nice to have that opportunity to have a fresh start and to just be like, right, these are important to me this year and nothing is getting in my way.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. I think also on the flip side, there is that massive pressure of, you know, everyone sharing like their New Year's resolutions, and I'm going to be healthy, and I'm going to go to the gym, and I'm going to be organic, and I'm going to do everything that's really good. And sometimes I think, do you know what? Like, don't put that pressure on yourself if you're not feeling that way. Like, January the 1st is just another day. Like, you're not going to be any different in December than you were in Jan. It's just sometimes people like using that as like, right, going to get my acting gear, going to do this, this and this. And then you actually find a few weeks down the line, people are just falling straight back into like old habits. So I don't want anyone listening to this feeling like, oh, because I'm not feeling that way, this isn't going to be an episode for me. I don't want it making me feel like crappy. I think it's very normal. Some people really try and use it as like a bit of a push to make some changes. And other people are a bit like, there's no point, because it gets to February and I'm back to doing whatever I was doing before. So I don't know. I feel like
Do you know what? Previous years, I've never been that phased. I've done like the last few years, I've done my vision board and stuff. But I've never really been like on it. But I don't know if it's just because it's been a tough old year and I've been through stuff that if you would have asked me this time last year, if you would have told me I would have gone through what I'd gone through, I'd have been like, what?
yeah.
So I feel like in my head, it's nice to have that fresh start. And I don't know if other people have maybe like had that in terms of, I don't know, marriage breakdowns, relationship ending. It is nice to have that definitive new start.
Yeah,
That's what
no, I
like,
really get that.
And the starting of a new chapter. Like in my head, I'm like, chapter 1, my first period. What film's that from? What film's that from? Chapter 1, my first period. I don't know where that's from. But yeah.
No, wait, 'cause it's going to really annoy me.
I'm going to have to Google it.
Friends.
Is it here? It might be.
Yeah, the show that they go to. And I think Chandler's the only one.
Yeah.
And it's like, chapter 1, my first period. He's just like,
what? My first period. Sorry about that. That was in my head. But yeah, so
I'm on my period now. Woo!
I've just finished.
no, I get that. I think that when you've had a really bad year, you're like, just I want to see the end of that year, like get out of my face. Now I'm in a new year, and like I can now officially like close that door, like bye. Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah, I've had really good parts of this year, and obviously, like, sadly, I am gonna have to go into the new year with some rubbish because I'm still going through a divorce, and I'm not naive enough to think that's going to be an easy process. But at the same time, I feel like I really want to now focus on all the things I have control over and focus on my aspirations, my dreams, as corny as that sounds, and all of the things that are really important to me. And actually, everything I've learned from this year has put all of that in perspective. And just the other stuff going on in my life, I just feel like time is precious, and I'm not going to sit around anymore and be like, in a few years' time, I want to do this. In a few years' time, it's now. So sorry, I am feeling highly motivated today. I'm probably going to annoy anyone listening to this, but this week I've had like a real, I don't know, I've done quite a lot of reflecting this week. Like last night, I spent the night trying to create my own little workspace, my own little office, because that's one thing I really struggle with is I haven't got a space where I can leave stuff out because I have 2 kids who will literally take it all and ruin it. And so I've created my little space where I can go and work. And again, like sitting down at the kitchen table to do my work, I'm so distracted by things all the time. Like I'll see, I don't know, dishes in the sink that need washing, or this needs doing, and I can't ever focus. I'm finding I'm getting really distracted. So I was like, I'm going to create myself a workspace, and this is going to help me grow my businesses in the capacity that I want to. So I am feeling really driven at the moment. I feel really excited about the year ahead. So yeah, we just thought we'd have a little bit of a chat in regards to kind of New Year's, thinking we're going to maybe delve into things that we've learned in the last year.
Yeah, I'm down for that. I think it's a good opportunity to kind of like look back and reflect on what you've learned, what you're taking from the year, the good and the bad. I am a believer that, you know, things that happen that are challenging or hard happen for a reason, to make you learn lessons and kind of move forward from them. I do think that that's definitely happened. You know, the way that I am now, for example, in my co-parenting relationship with my ex is really where I always wanted it to go. You know, I'm not saying that I wanted to be divorced and have my kids in 2 homes, but I think that once I realized that that was my reality, I then had this kind of like ideal co-parenting relationship in my head. Like, I want to get to this point, and I'm actually there now. So yes, I can look back and still be sad about like my family unit not being what I would have hoped. But now I'm at a point where I'm like, do you know what? Actually, now the family unit that I've got and he's got, and that we also work on together, I'm really proud of getting to that point. I'm not saying I'm the only reason it's there. But well, no, because obviously it does take 2. Like, if one parent in the co-parenting relationship doesn't want to be on the same level, then you can't do it. But I think that I very much had that control in allowing it to be as good as it is. And I like giving people hope that maybe there are decent co-parenting relationships out there, even if your relationship ends badly. Like, I'm not sitting here saying like, oh, we just fell out of love and now we're best friends. Like, no, like, it was bad. Like, I went through a really, really tough time, and evidently from episodes a few weeks ago talking about triggers and traumas, there are still things that I'm learning about myself that I've really struggled through that relationship. But I no longer hold that kind of like resentment and grudge. I'm taking responsibility for how I am, and it's no one else's fault or blame. Like, I'm just really like over that. So I would say that for me, the biggest thing that I have taken from the last year is healing myself from heartbreak and being able to still have a really healthy relationship with the person that caused it.
I mean, I can only aspire to get to that point. But
Some people don't want to. Like, I went through a stage where I was like, oh, I'm going to show him that I'm going to be like really positive and like really friendly. And then I was like, he don't deserve that part of me. I don't need to give him friendship or my nice side. But I think when you really look at the bigger picture and think about your children, and I always worried with that like stereotypical like divorced family that like the kids are always like, oh, a bit fucked up, their parents got divorced. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's why I always had in the back of my mind, I want them to look back and not remember me and their dad arguing or us not being in a good place. I want them to be like, look back and be like, oh, like, yeah, my parents aren't together anymore, but like they're so fine with each other. Like that's what I wanted. And that's where I am. So, I mean, look, it could all go tits up. I'm still not divorced yet.
Really?
Yeah, so nearly there. But, so yeah.
Any other lessons you've learned this year?
I think I've definitely learned what I need to do to not allow history to repeat itself. I think it takes a lot to really look at maybe how you were in a relationship that didn't work out and taking responsibility for things that you did that maybe you shouldn't have. I'm not talking about things like infidelity or being a bad partner. I mean more like accepting certain things because I didn't have much like self-worth or
I agree.
Or, you know, noticing, you know, in my previous relationship, not really noticing, well, hold on, actually, I shouldn't be spoken to that way. Like just sticking up for myself and really knowing
having boundaries.
Exactly that. Like having boundaries in place. I think is really
knowing your worth, isn't it? It's absolutely knowing your worth and like not ever like accepting or compromising on those like bare minimals, those non-negotiables.
And you know what? It's not even just in relationships. It's in a work environment, it's in friendships. I think that's been a big thing for me as well. Really realizing that, and I know we spoke about it, we did a whole episode on friends. It's really realizing, well, hold on, I might have been friends with this person for this number of years, but what do they now bring to my life? When I see them, do they make me feel happy? Do they bring positivity to me? Are they just around for the drama? Were they there for me when I went through something really bad? And I feel like I've become a bit more like cutthroat in, if you are only there for me for the good times and actually you don't really show up for the bad, then you can fuck off.
I think going through things like we've been through does make you quite I don't know, I feel like I take a lot less BS nowadays. I feel like everything I've been through has opened my eyes to being, I don't know, I've always been like a bit of a people pleaser. Like I don't like people feeling a certain way. I always try and do the right thing, whether I believe like I'm in the wrong. Like I'll always apologize for things, whether or not I should, because I prefer peace and I prefer easy. And actually everything I've gone through this year has made me realize I don't want to walk on eggshells with everyone anymore. I want to stand up for what I believe I deserve in terms of relationships, in terms of friendships, in terms of kind of like just with anyone I have in my life. I want it to be like an equal thing. It's like I want to get as much as I'm giving, kind of thing. I'm not like not physically, but I mean like I feel like I am a very good friend to people, or you know, I want the same back. And actually, like what I'm realizing is everything I've learned from my relationship, I'm able to transfer into like what you said, like what friendships are truly valuable. And it is really evident, like you said, who shows up, who was there in the beginning just for the drama, who's still there, who checks in, who says to you, I know you spend time on your own. Do you want to go out for dinner? Do you want some company? Like, it's been a hard and horrible lesson. Like, I'm not going to lie. It's not just losing a relationship. I have lost friendships this year, which still blows my mind because, but that's life.
I think it's important to realise that you want to surround yourself with people that pick you up and
clap when you're winning.
Yeah, exactly.
People that genuinely want to see you happy. If you've got friends or anyone in your life who's triggered by you being happy, that's a red flag. I'm sorry. Yeah. There's nothing I would want more for any of my friends than for them to be happy. So if someone who you consider a friend isn't happy for you when you're happy, that's weird.
Yeah, I feel like I am definitely going into 2024 with a really good circle of people around me. And they are the ones that like showed up for me through the crap.
Yeah. Any other lessons you've learned?
I definitely still have a lot of work to do on myself. More so with like my anxiety and my mental health. And that is going to be like a real like key thing that I'm going to really push this year. I think it's really easy to kind of, when you have certain anxieties or like me with a phobia, I think it's really easy to just try and like mask it and kind of like plod along in life, kind of trying to avoid needing to confront it. I personally believe that your mind is really, really powerful. Like if you have that mindset where you're constantly like, oh, that's never going to change and that is how it is, and kind of like allow your anxiety to define you, then that's how it's always going to be.
Yeah.
And I feel like it is having that like mindset of, actually, do you know what? Like, I don't want that to be the case anymore. Like, I'm going to change it. So I will. And I think that I haven't really like done enough work on that. That's something that I definitely need to do. I realise that's not actually what you asked. That's not a lesson. That's me having like,
it's recognising it's recognising what you want to kind of like focus on into the new year, isn't it?
Yeah. I think that when you're a mum, you're so consumed with doing everything for your children and you almost forget that there's stuff that just for you. It's not always about, like, a mum shouldn't define you. It's part of you. And I feel like being a mum, it's very easy to kind of get caught up in just concentrating on your children the whole time.
Yeah.
And I actually think that being a single parent and having more time to yourself, it is definitely a silver lining. Like, I'm not going to sit here and like say that it's not something that I enjoy. I do now really enjoy that time that I have on my own. But I think this year I definitely spent a lot of that time being busy and doing things rather than actually like reflecting and doing like work on me. So that's definitely something that I'm going to do more this year.
Never enough time to do it all, is there?
No, I'll find, I'm not sure when I'm going to do all this stuff.
I know.
Yeah. What about you? What do you feel like you have learned this year?
I have learned some big lessons. I think the number one lesson I've learned is for anyone listening who, I know there's people who are going through it every single day. Tash and I get it in our DMs all the time. My number one lesson I've learned is you are so much stronger than you ever knew you had the capacity to be. Like, there is literally nothing that you can't get through. Because genuinely, if someone had told me this time last year that my marriage was going to break down and things were going to unveil itself in the way they did, I would have said to you, I just don't know if I could ever get through that. And I'm here at the end of the year, and I'm getting through it. And do you know, I've done a damn good job of it. But in those early days, that pain is so physical and raw, and your whole world has been stripped of you. And I remember that feeling of feeling so helpless. Like, how am I ever going to recover from this? How am I ever going to be happy again? How am I ever going to I don't know, live, like survive, provide my kids with the life they want. And like, I am really proud of myself looking back as to what I've got through. And whilst I have had some amazing people around me, I haven't had as many people as I would have assumed or would have liked. And I've done a lot of that on my own. Sorry, I don't want to get so upset.
Well, don't, because I'm not there.
It's not sad, tears. I'm just genuinely really proud of how I've managed to pull myself out of like literally thinking like my whole world was completely over.
Mm-hmm. Well done, yeah.
And I remember those early days like feeling so worthless and literally like I was just surviving each day just for the hell of it and just for my kids. Like my kids pulled me through everything and I hit some really, really dark days in those early days. And sitting where I am now, like genuinely really content, feeling so highly motivated about like my business goals, like in a really positive, supportive, happy relationship. Like my kids are happier than ever. I don't know. It's not sad, it is. I do feel really proud of myself. And I think sometimes we need to step back and say, like, you fucking smashed it. Like, you've done a really good job. You've been handed and dealt a shit deck of cards this year. And you've got through it. And yeah, like my advice for anyone, like the biggest lesson I've learned is you are so much stronger than you know. Like, you just need to delve deep. You need to focus on like the little precious moments in your day. And Tash and I say it time and time again, it's day by day or hour by hour. And I promise you will get through it. Like one of the other massive lessons I've learned is like, it sounds really silly, but I've done a lot of reflecting like the last few weeks. I've done a lot of journaling, a lot of writing. So this is all like really fresh in my brain. I feel like in the person I chose to marry, in that relationship, I feel like I was aware of a lot of the things I was compromising on. But one of the things I really liked about the person was that they were a safe person. They were quiet. They weren't like, I don't know. I can't explain it. My point is, don't ever compromise on things that are important to you because you think someone is safe.
Do you mind trying to explain what you mean by that? When you say safe, do you mean that you felt like he was the typical stereotype of like wouldn't stray and was quite introvert, and you were more...
Yeah, exactly that.
You felt like you had the upper hand?
Not necessarily the upper hand, but like if you were to put him in a room with 100 other men or 100 other women, I would never have worried, because I just think there were certain characteristics I just assumed about him, and I never just, I don't know. My point is, don't compromise on the things that are really important to you. Like,
do you think, and sorry if I'm like saying this out of turn and it may be completely wrong, but do you think that actually really came from maybe some sort of insecurity of your own? That you felt like you almost looked for that because you were, like, do you think if you had more self-love that you would have felt the need to have that?
Maybe. And I think there's been other things that I've been through in my life that maybe made that like a primary quality. I use that because it's obviously was quality that I was looking for in someone. And I certainly feel like, I don't know. And do you know what? Like at the time when we met, I was young. I didn't really, and I'm not blowing my own trumpet, but I feel like I'm so much wiser now. Like there's so many, like I didn't know these things are important. I was young and like, honestly, I was really immature till quite a late age. And it wasn't actually until I had kids that I really feel like I've grown so much as a person. I really, truly know what my values are, what's important to me. And you know what? I'm not going to look back and think, oh, I wish this hadn't happened. If I'm being completely honest, where I'm sat right now, I'm so glad that this has happened. And I'm glad it's happened now, because I feel like I still have so much of my life to live. And I feel like now I know what's important. I can live the rest of my life being happy, focusing on what's important, you know, being with someone who has the characteristics and the same morals as me and the same aspirations as me, and doing things and being the person that I lost, and like something I will never compromise on again. Like, there were aspects of my personality or hobbies I enjoyed doing that probably a combination of becoming a mum, but also being lost in a marriage where I didn't feel like what I wanted mattered or what I cared about mattered. And that wasn't important. And actually my main job was to just be a mum and raise my kids. And actually what this whole thing has taught me is that actually I am important. My happiness is important. And what I've seen as a result of me finding myself again, what I've seen as a result of me being happy again and doing all the things I used to love doing and traveling more, and I don't know, being with someone who actually makes me feel beautiful and valued and appreciated, which I'm not going to lie, I haven't had. I feel like all of those things radiate into me, and I am such a better mum for it. My kids are getting so much more from me than they ever would. My whole atmosphere in my house is completely different. And I think what I really learned this year, and it's not that I ever looked at single parents in a certain way before this, but I don't think I fully understood the complexities and honestly, the strength, like just the difficulty of everything single parents go through. I have so much respect for anyone doing it on their own or co-parenting, or, you know, it's one of those things until you really go through something, you can't appreciate it until you've walked a day in that person's shoes. Like, and that's not to invalidate how hard being a mother or a parent is if you're still with that person. I'm not invalidating those feelings. Becoming a parent is one of the hardest things in the world. But from my experience, it's completely amplified when you become a single parent. And
I'm sure most mums or dads would probably agree with that when they are from like a relationship that hasn't fallen apart. You know, it's no different. Maybe it's a bit of an odd comparison, but I feel like it's no different to when people say things to me like, I don't know how you did twins, but I think to myself, I don't know how people do triplets. Like, you know, I feel like anyone married would be like, I don't know how you do it on your own. Like it is amazing. So I saw this thing on TikTok the other day and it just really stood out for me. And I want to mention this for anyone that's maybe going through like a breakup that's quite fresh, or maybe they're with someone and they're about to break up. I really do strongly believe that, like, if you are meant to stay with someone and you're meant to be together, you will. It doesn't matter about, oh, I should have done this, or have I done that differently, or I shouldn't have said that, because I do genuinely believe that no small action or conversation or holding back on something is going to make a difference to whether your relationship is going to last or not. I feel like there were so many times when I first ended with my ex, I would like sort of like replay things in my head and be like, had I not done that or pushed him on that, maybe we'd still be together. And it's a bit like, don't put that pressure on yourself that, like, if you wished you had done something differently, like there would have been a different outcome. That also goes for like dating. Oh, should I message him or should I not? If you're meant to be with that person, like, it will work. And if you're not,
we always find a way to be together. It will just happen. Yeah.
And if you're not, then it won't. So I feel like that again is definitely, like, when I saw that, I was like, I just really liked really hearing that it is true. Like, you can kick yourself with regret of, oh, had I not done this? Had I not said that? Or did I push too much? Like, if you're meant to be with someone, it will work out.
I think it's really important to look back on things like this. And like, I've learned a lot about my self-worth. Like, I would never want to be with anyone who doesn't want to be with me. I want them to 100% want me. And if their heads are turned by other people, I'm not going to try and win back their attention or their affection. I deserve more than that. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's, I strive for so much more than that now. And I think that's a massive lesson I've learned this year, is you shouldn't ever have to beg someone to love you or to be with you.
I got a message from someone the other day, and she was telling me that her husband had been having an affair and that she had contacted the girl and begged her to leave her husband alone. And she was saying things like, she says she was a girl's girl and she's still doing it, and I can't believe it. And I replied to her saying, like, I'm so sorry what you're going through. It's like she was trying to get me to confirm to her that the girl was so wrong. And don't get me wrong, the girl was doing wrong, but it's like she had these like this tunnel vision of like, blame the girl, blame the girl. But actually, like, your husband is also doing wrong. And I just think, like, I'm in that frame of mind now where it's like, if I'm with someone that is able to be distracted by another woman, she can have him.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not an option. Like, I'm the first choice. Like, there is
only
no
choice.
You know what I mean?
I'm the only choice. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's sad that, you know, we're really quick to like go and attack and blame the other woman. And don't get me wrong, a lot of them are vile and you shouldn't want to break up a marriage. But if someone else
is their problem,
if someone else is capable of breaking up that marriage, then he's not worth it. And she's seeing that.
It's do you know what? It's hard to get to that point. But the way I see it now is like, it's no longer my problem. All the things that I didn't like about my ex, it's her problem now. You know, it's done and it's right. Like, it's so hard at the time, and God, it hurts like hell. Like, feeling like you're not attractive, or you're a crap wife, or I don't know, whatever it is. But I will always be number one to someone now. I won't ever compromise. If they're steering between me and another person, I'll take my things and leave. Like, absolutely not. Right. What things are you going to do differently 2024?
I am the world's worst procrastinator. I really, really am. Like, it's such a bad habit. You know, or sometimes even when I've got a day and I'm like, I've got a day, like, I'm going to get shit done. And then it's like, I look back at that day and I'm like, what shit did I do? Like, I really want to try and be more proactive with stuff that needs to get done. But at the same time, completely contradicting myself here, sometimes you need those days to do fuck off.
You do.
Like, I've done that. Do you know what? That is one thing I've definitely learned to do and appreciate. If I was terrible at doing nothing.
That's what I need to do more of. I'm terrible at nothing.
Yeah, you would never see me sat down. I didn't know how to chill. I didn't know how to wind down. I was always go, go, go. I found it a complete waste to not be out with the kids. And now they're sometimes some of my best days is you don't always have to be go, go, go. I think I'm just going to be a bit kinder to myself.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a good one. I need to do that. Same with, like, I'm not very good at not doing anything. I need to get better at that as well. One thing I'm going to do differently this year, one thing, like, I've been quite open with it on Instagram and stuff, but like, being completely transparent, like, so obviously my marriage broke down the first day of March, so it's coming up for nearly 10 months by the time this episode goes out. And ever since then, I've fallen completely off the bandwagon of eating well and exercising in a way that I like to exercise and looking after myself. Like, honestly, like, some days I'll eat a meal, some days I'll just like pick my way through the day. And I've really noticed like a complete change in my energy and like sometimes my mood and like my skin and stuff like that. So like my biggest priority this year is like actually looking after myself, like having 3 meals a day, cooking well, because I enjoy cooking good foods, exercising, trying to carve out a bit of time. Going to try and start, I want to do a reformer Pilates class a week, and I want to go to the gym twice a week. I have no idea how and when I'm going to fit it in, but I really want to try and prioritize those things because I know they're going to make me feel really good. Like I lost quite a lot of weight this year, and I know lots, like some people are like, oh, I wish I could lose weight, blah, blah, blah. But it wasn't done in a healthy way. It was done, I like literally in the first couple of months, I barely ate or like did anything. And I've really noticed a change in my body. Like I've lost a lot of muscle. I've lost that confidence of just feeling strong. Like I've always been someone who has been a strong, fit person, and I'm not that person. And like one of my biggest priorities is health, because health is wealth. Like that's another thing. Like you've got to actually look after the health of yourself so you can be the
and I don't
version for your kids as well. Like I always say to my clients, like if you're looking after yourself and you're pouring into the cup of like investing in your own health, you're going to be around longer. You're going to be there to be able to run after them and play with them and pick things up and keep up with them. Like it's hard work. So I'm absolutely making that a priority going into the year ahead. Food, water, exercise. I want to take some more time out from like mindfulness. Like really, I really struggle to switch off. So like having that time, whether it's journaling or whether it's, I don't know, just doing a bit of meditation or whatever it is, I really want to focus on, I guess it's both physical and mental health, like of myself, because I just feel like that's going to make me a better mum, make me a better partner, make me a better friend. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, do you know what? I really need to do exactly what you've done. My eating is horrendous. My diet is really, really bad, and it does definitely have a detrimental effect on my energy. And yeah, I definitely need to do that. You can help me.
I'll help you. I can get you signed up.
Yes, please.
Another thing I'm going to do is, I guess it stems from like our episode about triggers is, and I've been really good at this since we've spoken about it all, is not taking like, or not taking past triggers, but really trying to
work on them.
Yeah. And it's taking that responsibility. And I'm, again, there's something wrong in being proud of yourself, but I'm really, really proud of myself. I feel like I'm really making progress in terms of like, I don't know, it's a big deal when you've come out of a marriage that obviously was broken down by trust being broken. And I think I get messages all the time, like, I got this message like yesterday or 2 days ago, because I said something like how my boyfriend doesn't really go on set, like he doesn't use social media, doesn't post something, he doesn't do anything, blah blah. And she was like, well, does that not make you like think he's hiding something from you and this and that, and like this whole like story? And I was like, bloody hell, this is like what my brain does. And I was like, and actually I was like, no, like it doesn't, because I know him, and I know like we're very open with stuff like that. But yeah, it's just like, I don't know, I feel like trusting my gut a bit more. Not everyone's the same, and if someone's not giving you a reason to question their trust or to make you think they're a bad person,
yeah,
but give people benefit of the doubt. Like,
yeah, I agree. I really agree. I think, do you know what I have found? And this is why I love doing this podcast. Not only are we helping other people, you know, the messages we get and people saying like, you don't understand how much this is helping me, and I resonate so much, but it's helping me. Like we do episodes, and then afterwards I'm a bit like, God, I didn't really know that until I said it out loud. And you know, when we have episodes like the triggers one, and I don't know, I just feel like it's therapy
through it all, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I feel like I know we both have goals for the podcasts for this year, and that we really, you know, we're gonna be really determined to
this time next year, guys. this time next year, you watch where
we're going to hit those goals together. Like, we've spoken about it briefly on our Instagram page, but we want to do events. We want to, we want to meet you guys. We want to do live podcasts. There's a lot of other things that I'm not going to mention that we've got in the pipeline. So also really excited about the podcast for 2024. I feel like it's going to be bigger and better. And that is obviously with the help of you guys. So like every listen and every share and everything that you do, like it does genuinely mean so much to us, because we want to help other people, but in turn it really, really is helping.
And that's it. Like we can only carry on like putting out all these episodes if you guys are supporting us. Like if you guys continually support us and listen and share and recommend and the rest, and we grow, we are able to do more. We're able to, like put more time and stuff into all this. And that's really what we want from this. We want this to grow. And like, honestly, the amount of messages we get just about how like our podcast has got you through some of your darkest days, like that is our reason why. And I think going through this whole experience, I kind of feel a bit jealous that I didn't have that like in my early days, like something to listen to help me through it.
100%. And I feel like that's also why we started it, because I wish that there was a podcast like this that I could listen to 2 years ago. Yeah, exactly that. And the messages that we get say it all and makes it worth doing.
So I think it is really important to like goal set for a year. I think it's good to like dream big. I think this links in with our episode we did about vision boards. Like, don't ever sit and think like that's too big. Like, I can't possibly have that as a goal or as a vision or something I'd like to achieve because it's unachievable. Like that, you're already limiting yourself in so many ways by having that mindset. So like, I've actually got a bit of time to myself this weekend, and between Christmas and New Year, I've got some time to myself where I'm really going to sit down, work out what I want to change on my vision board, have new, bigger goals, like more exciting goals, more specific goals. That's what I'm really learning, is the more specific you can get with your goals and what you want to achieve, and the more, I don't know, you're open to believing you can achieve them, you're going to get them. Like I'm setting myself some really scary but exciting business goals that, there's other things that I really want to happen in my life next year. And I think it's a really positive idea for you to sit down, like have that moment on your own, get really clear about what it is you want from life, what it is you want to happen. What do you want to change in the next year? Do you want your life to just carry on being the same? Or do you have bigger and better goals? Do you want to be happy? Do you want to meet someone? Do you want to move house? Do you want to, I don't know, do you want a promotion in your job? You've got to get really clear with what it is that you want and create a vision board. So in my new little office space, I'm going to move my vision board there, because where it is at the moment, I don't actually get to look at it all the time. And I feel like I've been limiting myself a little bit with not exposing myself to it. So I feel like that literally in front of my laptop will be a really nice place to have it, like as a constant reminder of what it's all for, essentially.
I think that also anyone that hasn't listened to it, maybe go back and listen to the episode about manifesting and vision boards, because I think it's a really good episode to actually be listening to at the beginning of the year. Maybe we'll share it as well for anyone that
we'll reshare it on our stories.
Yeah, definitely, because I think it just gives you that little boost. It's like, okay, yeah, I can do this. Here's a step by step. This is how we do it. I definitely need to update my vision board. I think a lot of it on there is actually slightly too vague.
It's about getting real specific with your goals on there.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I need to do that, definitely.
Any New Year's resolutions?
Well, to be completely honest with you, I don't massively believe in them.
That's fun.
I think a lot of people set resolutions, like I said, and then like a month later they haven't done them. I do want to be healthy. Is that a New Year's resolution? I mean, I guess you could say it is, but I'm not going to put this like massive pressure on myself. I feel like it's more like a life change than like this year I'm going to do it. Do you know what I mean? I need to get back into being healthy and just honestly, like, just to try and continue the work that I'm currently doing, really. And I've got a lot of goals for work that I'm really hoping
You will.
or
You will.
it's going to be my year. I think that when you
will achieve those goals.
I think when you become a single parent, the financial side of things is always, I think, definitely one of the scariest. And it's probably one of the reasons why a lot of people don't become a single parent. And I want to make sure that I'm able to hit certain things in order to continue giving my kids and myself the life that we deserve.
The bloody absolutely. Can I get a hell yeah to that? My ring list has given up on life. My New Year's resolution, same with in terms of like health goals and stuff and like business goals, massively like want to focus. I don't feel like if I'm being completely transparent, I don't feel like I've been as focused on growing my PT side of my businesses as much this year because honestly, I feel like I've been juggling so much emotionally that actually you can't do everything. And sometimes you drop some balls and, you know, if I'm being completely honest with myself, I don't feel like I've been giving it my best and I want to give it my best. So this year is all about that. But also like I really want to work on my co-parenting relationship. I want that to be positive. I found our episode we did with Shelley really, really helpful in terms of since then, I've really been able to put like firmer boundaries in place in terms of like, actually, like, we don't need to discuss that. And I don't need to reply to you as soon as you've messaged me. And like, actually, I don't know, just being able to hold boundaries, I've really felt like I'm able to protect my energy a hell of a lot more. And it's made, honestly, like the biggest difference just to like my overall mood, like how I'm feeling. And like, if you haven't listened to the episode with Shelley and you are struggling with a co-parenting relationship, I cannot recommend it enough. Like it just changed things for me in terms of being able to step back. Like one of the things she said was like, if something's said or whatever, or something happens, to be able to step back and get that space rather than reacting in that situation, which I 100% was doing before. So for me,
you know what? I think that's the case with even like in
anything.
marriage.
Yeah, I agree.
Like in general, like reacting the minute you're like triggered, it's just not going to end well. We're going to go into a few emails before we end the episode. Thank you guys for always sending stuff in.
Hey ladies, I love your podcast. It has really helped me over the past year. You're both so inspiring. I've got a bit of a dilemma. Sorry in advance if it's long, but would love to hear your thoughts, advice. So my ex and I separated after 14 years together around 11 months ago. We have a 3-year-old daughter. We separated due to lots of arguing. He drank a lot and was lying about it, causing me to get paranoid thinking he was lying to me all of the time. I asked him if he would try couples therapy, but he didn't want to. Because of the situation we were in, I had to leave with my daughter and start from scratch. I was left with nothing. So now we are getting along well, co-parenting. He is now saying that he misses me and has now started to make an effort wanting to do things with our daughter and I, where previously when we were together, he wouldn't have wanted to do this. I feel stuck. Part of me feels resentful that it's taken all of this for him to appreciate and want to make the effort. But then the other part of me thinks, should we try again? Would I be able to trust him or would I be questioning everything? I just don't know. What would you do? Thank you both. If I'm being honest, I feel like I understand there's been like lying and stuff, but I feel like sometimes it does take people to break for them to realize what they've nearly lost. And I feel like where there's not been like infidelity or from what I'm reading, anything like, I'm not saying it's not significant.
Yeah.
Knowing the kind of person I am, I think I would want to try.
I think I would too.
And just see. And like, if I did feel like he was giving me reasons not to trust him again, look, it's easy for me to sit here and say that I've got massive trust issues, but I feel like, I don't know, even the fact you're maybe questioning it, I think that tells me there's part of you that perhaps would want that. And I think sometimes you have to leave every stone unturned in terms of trying, if that's something you really want, because who really wants their family unit to fall apart? It's not an ideal situation for anyone.
Yeah. I agree. I think the fact that there hasn't been like this like big thing.
I understand the drinking's not great, but again, if like he then wanted to start seeking help for that, or he did want to start couples therapy, that would tell me like he's making those choices because it's important to him and he wants to work on it. I think it's really important that he is taking responsibility.
Well, do you know what? It's exactly like Shelley said, isn't it? A willing to grow, taking responsibility, being able to reflect and being able to emotionally regulate. And by the sounds of it, maybe it's taken this break for him to realise. So I would say give it a go and set boundaries and know your worth. And if history repeats itself, then you know you tried.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, we've got a long one. I'm going to read it.
Do it.
Hi, listening to your podcast has made me feel validated and that I'm not alone in what I'm going through. That's exactly what we want, isn't it? Yeah. It is upsetting to listen to as I am processing what I'm going through. I don't care about him at all. It's more protecting my time with my daughter. We've been married for 8 years. He has a lot of trauma with his dad leaving him when he was younger and his mum was emotionally unavailable. He has always wanted children, a family unit for this reason. In our marriage, he had a lot of expectations on me in doing things in a certain way and how a couple should be. Now, looking back, it was more how he wanted the relationship to be and not what we could work on together. He has a controlling streak and would not stop me from doing anything, but would make comments that would make me second guess why I would take certain actions. 4 years of trying for a baby, 3 rounds of IVF, 2 failed cycles, 1 healthy baby girl was born in April 2022. On my birthday this year in June, he said he didn't want to be together and that we were different people and we are better off apart. On your birthday? I mean, come on. There's 364 other days in the year. He said he has thought about this since the start of the year. He had been in my phone and seen text messages I had sent to my sisters detailing how I felt controlled and manipulated. He said all he has ever wanted was to make me happy. He now feels, after seeing the text messages, that I'll never be happy. We went to marriage counselling and I wanted to work on the marriage due to our daughter and not splitting up my family unit. I would have thought, given my ex's background, he would feel the same. But it's like he has had a personality transplant. He is a different man. I don't recognise him. In August, he said he wanted a divorce. There are so many things he has said that are abusive and threats he has made since. I now know the relationship was an emotionally abusive one and I just didn't see it or thought he was going through a phase due to his trauma. He is a hands-on dad. I can't fault him there, but to the extent he would rather I leave him to parent himself. We're still living together because of financial reasons. He has had overnight stays with our daughter. However, I am finding this has been taken out of my hands and I didn't have a choice on having less time with my daughter. I love my own time, but I miss her and I feel like I'm missing out. I have a good support network, but feel lonely going through this. We're going through mediation because our communication styles mean I end up compromising myself. All the stories I hear are about men who are hands off or are amicable with mediating time with children. I asked him to stay for photos whilst he was with my daughter so it doesn't feel like such a long stretch. He had her this weekend and went to see his family. He said no because he can't trust me and I need to stop asking because I'm now ruining his time with our daughter. I just feel at loss and my mental health is in pieces. I've seen a therapist but can't fork out money for it right now with the mediation cost being £300 plus a session. I just want advice on how I can help myself in the process ahead and what is a suitable plan for my child arrangements for an 18-month-old. It's a hard one. I understand what you're saying in terms of you do feel like you're missing out on time. And at the start of my ex-husband having the kids, I would always ask for photos, exactly those same reasons. I'd never had the time apart from them. I found it really difficult. In the beginning, he did used to do it, and then that seemed to become a problem. We don't do it anymore unless it's like something really significant, like when the boys met Chase from Paw Patrol, I sent a photo. But other than that, we don't.
I think with things like that, when it comes to like photos and communication, when you have the kids or he has the kids, I think you need to almost like match the energy with your co-parenting.
100%.
If
don't co-parent, then they're giving you.
Not even that, but I feel like if your co-parenting relationship isn't that great, then like you need to maybe like realize that getting photos from him is just not yet at that point.
Or it's just not even sometimes necessary. Like,
Do you remember when
some of it's us, some of it's the things we struggle with. The kids are actually in good hands. The kids are fine, and that is and should always be the priority. Yes, we struggle. I really struggle with not knowing what they're doing. Like, hands up, I did. Like, that was my biggest thing. I wanted to know what they were doing every weekend. Now we're at the point where he doesn't tell me what they've done. I only hear it through Theo, what they've done. I don't get the pictures. I don't get the updates.
Do you remember I once said that I used to go through a stage where I'd like, on exchanges, I'd be like, what did they eat? How did they sleep? And all this stuff. And then I realised, actually, like, it's been and gone. Like, I don't actually need to know or know if there's a problem. So keep the contact and the communication to an absolute minimum. And I think that, especially going through mediation and like things like that being very heightened, I think that you need to appreciate that you need to be at that level where you're keeping contact to a minimum. Hopefully you get to a point further down the line where exchanges the photos and asking what she's doing and how things are, it will be okay. But I think that you need to maybe pick your battles with hoping or expecting too much from someone when you're currently going through that.
I think when you're going through that, like, obviously it's something you've never been through before. You don't know what like the protocol is. That's what I was like, do I get pictures? Do I get updates? Do I get like, when you're leaving, do I know? Like, that's what I struggle with. Obviously my kids have like a 2-hour journey. And like, to begin with, I was like, can you text me when you get back to the house so I know they're okay? I still do that sometimes. But it's stuff like that actually, when they're with the other person who's got parental responsibility, you kind of have to trust that they're being looked after and that they're okay. And yes, it's hard for us, but I guess that's something that we need to work on ourselves. Like, it's not easy. Like, I've always been very open. Like, the biggest challenge I've ever felt from this is having that time away from my kids, which, don't get me wrong, I'm in a much better place with now, but there are definitely challenges around that for me. And I do feel, I don't know, lately I've really felt like when they're coming back from their dads, my kids are ill a lot when they come back to me. I don't know. I do find like exchanges and car parks really emotionally taking a toll. But actually, what I'm trying to step back and look at is my kids are fine. Like, my kids, it's. I don't think it's emotionally impacting them. I think it's me.
Also, can I just say, Carly, like that exchange in a car park, like, could be quite fun. Like, also, like, you live 2 hours apart from each other. Who's to say that even when you're good,
did I tell you about
you're not going to meet in the middle?
Did I tell you about the horrible message I got about that?
No, what?
Me saying how I was like impacting my kids and exchanging them like a drug exchange. So what?
Like, you can make it fun. You can make
We go into the sun, but they get to pick chocolate. Like, it's not that.
Like, that's what I mean. Like, I feel like
that also like. Sometimes I think actually that's probably better than going into a house where someone's got more of an opportunity to be hostile or negative or rude. It's in public, it's done, it's really not a big deal. It's not ideal. I don't love it.
Work with what you've got. As long as the kids are at the forefront of both parents' priority, then you just got to work with what you've got. It's just one of those things, isn't it? And
I feel your learning. Yeah. Trying initially, like, I found the first like few months where I was away from my kids, like filling your time with things you've not got to do, like go and book appointments, go out with friends, go shopping, like keep yourself busy. I have to say I'm now at a point where, like, this weekend, I think all of Saturday, maybe Saturday night, I've got no plans and I am so excited to be in my house. I want to sort through cupboards and like, I don't know. I'm really looking forward to time on my own, which if you would have asked me a few months ago, that would have been like my worst nightmare, being just on my own in my own company. But I think it's really important. It's good and it's healthy to be able to be on your own and be content. And, you know, I'm looking forward to having a deep clean and then sitting down and I might even watch a film. Like,
yeah, I think that, do you know what? I think that my advice to anyone that is experiencing that kind of like time on their own newly when you're not with your kids, don't put your pressure on yourself to like enjoy time on your own. Wait until you feel it naturally.
Agree.
I spent a lot of time making sure I was constantly busy, and that's fine. Like, don't feel like you have to learn to like being by yourself. It will come.
Yeah, I've just only recently got to a point where I'm like,
Which is amazing.
quite like this. Okay, guys, we're going to end this episode with a little confession of the week. This one's a good one.
I like these. These make me
I like
laugh.
these. I have the Love Honey clit sucker in my bedside drawer. Where's this going? My 3-year-old found it and was sat playing with it. I freaked out and didn't know what to do, so I grabbed it and pretend to use it as a facial cleanser. Lesson learned. I need to put it somewhere safer. I love that.
I love that so much. Like sending in your confessions of the week. They are. I feel like they're my new highlight of the episode.
So, me too. Should we do a little? I feel like we need an affirmation for the new year.
Definitely.
This is my year, and I am in control.
Yes, this is my year and I am in control.
Preach it, sister. Woo, 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 woo.
Happy New Year, everyone. We hope you enjoyed the episode. It was weird doing it on Zoom, but hopefully it worked well. Yeah, guys, we hope you enjoyed it. And make sure, as always, you follow, share, comment, like,
Love.
We will see you.
Help us cry. Love you all. Have the best.
Love you. Bye.